This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
An OPEC Plus panel is unlikely this week to make any changes to its current deal to cut production and to start unwinding some cuts from October. Despite recent sharp declines in oil prices, 5 sources from the producer group told Reuters. Top ministers from OPEC Plus, as the group is known, will hold an online Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee meeting, JMMC, on Thursday at 10 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. I think it is unlikely that we will see a new change or development in Thursday's meeting, especially to limit more OPEC Plus production, one of the sources said, declining to be identified.
Russian shipping company Sovcomflot has started this year's transportation of Urals crude oil to Asia via the Northern Sea route, according to market sources and LSEG data on Tuesday, as melting ice opens the Arctic route for transit shipments. Russia wants alternative routes to Asia from its western ports, as Western sanctions have made it increasingly difficult for its fleet to operate in waters close to European Union countries. But the Northern Sea route, though significantly shorter than the Suez Canal alternative, is challenging and requires the assistance of icebreakers to help vessels to pass along the northern coast of Russia.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
India's diesel and jet fuel shipments to Singapore and Australia are set to hit the highest levels in 2.5 years in July as sellers looked east with demand tepid from Europe, according to industry sources and shipping data. The jump in middle distillates exports from swing supplier India to the Asia-Pacific will likely cap prices and refiners' margins in the region, while preventing a further build-up in inventories in Europe which have been weighing on prices there, the sources said. India, one of Asia's leading fuel exporters, is expected to ship between 157,000 barrels of oil per day and 224,000 barrels of oil per day of diesel and jet fuel to Singapore and Australia in July. Estimates from LSEG, Vortexa, Capeler and 2 trade sources showed the highest since end 2021 and early 2022. This would be about 30% higher than June.
U.S. electricity generators consumed a record amount of gas in the first 4 months of the year as prices slumped to the lowest level in real terms for more than half a century. Ultra-low prices encouraged more power production from some of the least efficient single-cycle gas and steam turbines at the expense of coal. But record combustion by generators made little impact on swollen gas inventories amid continued growth in gas production and sluggish exports. Generators produced a record 1,334 billion kilowatt-hours, kWh, between January and April, according to the latest data from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Prices of most base metals prices rose on Wednesday, supported by a softer dollar, but the metals were headed for a monthly fall due to weak China demand. 3-month copper on the London Metal Exchange rose 1.6% to $9,115.50 per metric ton by 0446 GMT, while the most traded September copper contract on the Shanghai Futures Exchange climbed 1% to 74,220 yuan, $10,256.20 a ton. LME aluminium rose 1.3% to $2,253 a ton. Nickel jumped 1.9% to $16,370. Zinc advanced 1.9% to $2,679. Lead increased 1% to $2,054.50 and tin climbed 4.8% to $30,150.
Dalian iron ore futures closed slightly lower on Wednesday after drifting in a narrow range, as market participants weighed weak economic data from top consumer China against hopes of further monetary stimulus following a key Politburo meeting. The most traded September iron ore contract on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange ended daytime trade 0.13% lower at 768 yuan, $106.28 a metric ton. The benchmark September iron ore on the Singapore Exchange, however, was 1.57% higher at $100.65 a ton, as of 0725 GMT.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Malaysian palm oil futures fell and were headed for a second straight monthly drop on Wednesday, tracking weakness in rival vegetable oils, while the focus was also on the July export data from cargo surveyors. The benchmark palm oil contract for October delivery on the Bursa Malaysia Derivatives Exchange lost 17 ringgit, or 0.43%, to 3,898 ringgit, $846.29, a metric ton by midday break. The contract is down 0.46% so far for the month. Listless rival oilseed movement in Asian trading hours weighed on Bursa Malaysia crude palm oil futures market sentiment, a Kuala Lumpur-based trader said.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.